is personal and often springs from emotion and inspiration. For Cindy, Claudio, and Whitney Fair, that inspiration came from a journey to Ireland.
It really helped me because I was in a rut. I was in artist block as you call it. And so it just inspired me to do new paintings, new landscapes that I've never seen before and otherwise wouldn't have seen.
When I got back, I hit the ground running, and I was able to do 21 pieces for this show.
Whitney's works, Cindy's, and that of other students who went on the study abroad trip became part of the exhibit Far and Away, Reflections on Art and Conflict in Ireland. The Department of Art and Design took students to Ireland as part of a summer course. It explored Irish artistic expression. Of course, their trip took them to museums, but the impact was greater than for the typical tourist.
I mean, I loved going to the museums as an art major, and that's one of the things that not many people know is that Ireland has a lot of art and art history, and they really have these museums filled with so much art from famous artists that I would never have otherwise seen. Like, for example, J.M.W. Turner, Joseph Millard, William Turner, was like, I just saw his painting right there, and I could not otherwise feel shocked. It's like seeing a Leonardo da Vinci in real life.
Their class and journey also studied art's role in framing, waging, and remembering the many political conflicts that define the history and culture of the island nation, something that prompted this piece by Whitney Fair.
So the piece behind me is titled Rape, and it's all about the English rape of the Irish landscape. Because when the English came in, they essentially attempted an act of erasure on the Irish language, Irish culture, to alienate the population, to make them conform to English ideals. So I wanted to depict that rape of the landscape and that gash torn in the Irish landscape of the rich greenery.
Landscape that actually became part of Andrew Cashin's pieces, even though he is not an art major.
Just things that I collected throughout the trip. And so this one I'm calling just Pieces of Ireland, and it's rocks, detritus that I found along the way. So I mean, I've got sheep's wool from a spot out in Glendalough in the Wicklow Mountains where we saw, you know, a sheepdog sort of experience, see how they work. Some rocks from Newgrange, from the Giant's Causeway, and then also like this little wooden rose that I found in Dublin. And then also more stuff from Howth. I spent a day in Howth, which is sort of outside of Dublin, and just had my own little experience and climbed up on a mountain. So I wanted to like collect that and bring it back.
Whitney's art was influenced by Ireland's struggle for self-control.
And I actually went to a crypt in Dublin where some of the revolutionaries, after they were executed, their bodies were interred. And it's still an active crypt where these families can still put family members if they want. But the rich history, they had their own civil war, they had their war of independence, or attempted.
It's conflict and tension, Professor Kyle McKenzie says, they learned about firsthand during the tour of Northern Ireland.
Very early on, we did a walking tour in Belfast where we did about an hour and a half on one side of the division wall, the peace walls as they call them, that separate the Unionist and Catholic neighborhoods in Belfast. And we did, the first half of the tour was with a political prisoner from the Republican side, and the other half was with a political prisoner from the Unionist side. And so they both gave extremely different perspectives. And I think it kind of helped kind of drive home the nature of some of the conflict and why it's so difficult to get past.
Whitney, who has an emphasis in sculpture, created chess and checkers game boards, which he says represent a metaphorical game of politics and relationships, including some grim realities of life and death.
To show that in the end, those who die, the soldiers, or even us as just regular everyday people, we're pawns in a game. We're pawns in somebody else's game, whether it's business, politics, education. We're all just pawns, cogs in machines, and we're the ones to suffer. Those with money don't suffer, those with the power don't suffer. And this piece with the Red King translates And that one's titled So Share My Glory, So Share My Coffin. It means that, you know, if you latch on to someone's success and take part in it and reap the benefits, you also reap what you sow.
Despite the history of conflict, the visitors say the beauty of the country itself and its people also made an impression.
As generations pass, the sort of tenuous peace they have now can hold. But that was something that we did that early, so I think that kind of set in, I think, and set the tone. But also just, you know, the landscape, this kind of storytelling, the extremely just like welcoming, you know, everywhere you went, everyone was extremely friendly and chatty. So I think that was a fun part of it for sure.
Like, they are so nice and so hospitable and sweet, and, you know, just as rich as the green landscape is their attitude to life. It's just bright and lovely to the point I didn't want to come back.
And in the Giant's Causeway was like it felt like the beginning of the trip where I really saw Ireland, because you could see like the way of the water, the rocks, just the cliffs, everything there. It just really spoke to me at that point, and that's why I did that one. And then on here is the Newgrange tombs, which they don't even know who built the tombs. They were just ancient people that had done burials, basically, and they'd use the grass or the dirt, and it'd grow on top of everything with the rocks. So that really spoke to me.
Cindy and other students also shared their experiences through an artist talk. Students say studying abroad together as a group brought multiple benefits.
Studying abroad with MSSU really gave me the opportunity to actually go abroad. I mean, I wouldn't have had that opportunity otherwise. They really gave me the space and the comfort, because, you know, traveling alone by yourself is very scary, just out on your own. But in this group, it felt like we could always come back to each other, and we could always like resonate with each other and learn new things as a group, as a class. And so that's what I really enjoyed about it. Also, there's a collection of people that we were all going through the same thing as Americans, as learning about a new country, learning about the rules, learning about the social differences, and I really appreciated that. Also learning about the food was a big difference for us, a big change that I just really appreciated going on this trip for.
And for other students considering studying abroad,
just do it. It really makes you grow as a person, especially as a college student, first coming out of your parents' house or still living in your parents' house. It gives you that taste of freedom that you wouldn't normally expect, and it makes you realize, hey, I can take care of myself. I can do this. You know, you could learn how to find a direction in life, meet new people, and do everything that you want to do that you've always been afraid to do, especially when traveling abroad. So I would just say do it. Just jump on it.
Being a non-traditional student now, I can say do it while, you know, you can get the financial scholarships, travel, because you don't know what the future holds. But, you know, the world is round. The world is such a rich place. Experience it. Like, you know, as Auntie Mame would say, life is a banquet and some people are starving. You know, live life. And, you know, Missouri Southern, for the school the size that it is, we have such a luxury of an international program. So travel, do it.